Hello, it's good to have you join us on today's episode. You're welcome to ZA Vlog. As you can see, I'm not here alone. I'm with our own Anastasia. Please, let's make some noise for Anastasia. Anastasia, say something to our viewers.
Hi, good to have you, or good to have me here, and good to have you there.
Yeah,
So stay glued to the screen and don't go away.
we have interesting topic I bet you won't want to miss on today's
No,
episode.
no.
But we'll be right back after this time out. Good to have you join us again. Like I said, we have interesting topic, a topic that affects both male and female, and is quite rampant in this part of the world. So we decided to bring up this topic to dissect. Yes, that's why Anastasia is here to join all of us, because we expect you to participate in the comment section, to join all of us to do justice to this topic. What is the topic? Sexual harassment. I don't know whether I'm supposed to call it in full in this platform, but just to be on the safe side, we'll just keep it as just harassment. Now let's dive deep into the topic. But I would like for us to dissect exactly what sexual harassment is all about.
Okay, to my best of knowledge, sexual harassment is when you're being forcefully forced into a sexual relationship. Like you're not interested, you don't like this person, you're not into this person, but the person is playing power, like power play with you. I'll be like, okay, you must go down with me because of this or this or that. Like when someone is forcing you and you're not interested, that's actually sexual harassment.
Yes, you've said it all. You've said it all. One of the major characteristics of sexual harassment is that there must be this power play. One has power over the other.
Over the other.
Yeah, either in a workplace, the boss against the colleague, or even in the universities.
Of
I know there
course.
was a time it rained. It was so common, this thing they call sex for grades, though I believe most of our universities are trying to curb it, but that's not to say it is all over. It's not. Now I want us to dissect how we are supposed to handle this issue, because it's an issue. It's not all of us that know how to
Yeah,
handle
it's an
this.
issue.
And one thing I feel we should do is to be comfortable talking about it, because we have this shame culture when it comes to things like this. We always feel ashamed, maybe because we are easily judged. Okay, can't you leave the job? Maybe you've been looking for a job for 10 years, and probably you have aged parents you're supposed to take care of, brothers and sisters that are still in school. Probably you are the first, and everybody is depending on you, which is also putting so much pressure on you to want to succumb to things like this. I think when we start by eliminating that shame culture that is associated with this kind of harassment, victims will begin to speak up.
Of course.
Yeah, I think that's one way we can curb it. Is there any
Yeah.
other way we can?
Yes, another way to curb it is, let's say, for example, in an organization, of course, there are panels. Understand? Let's say in your workplace. So when this kind of thing arises, there should be a particular panel which you can go there and
Lay
tell, yes,
complaints.
and lay the complaints, and they will take it up from there. But you don't keep quiet, because when you keep quiet, things are
It will,
gonna
yeah, it will
go.
continue.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you
And
short. Sorry to cut you. You will continue with this point.
okay.
I'm curious at this point. Why do you think people do this type of thing, especially the men? I'm not saying the women don't do it, but we cannot pretend that this
the
is not
women own
more of a
the women own
cultural
is
thing
not as high as that of
as
the
that of the
men.
male. Yeah,
Yes.
yes. But why do you think they do that?
And they do that because they are men, and two, they are in power, because if you check, most people that do this kind of things, they are not commoners.
Yeah.
Though not like we don't find such thing among commoners, but the one we see as in among commoners
Commoners
is
might
that,
wish to do, but they don't have the power to.
and sometimes they might even just catch you in one corner and rape you and run away,
Okay.
kind of. But in a workplace, you see a full-fledged man being the CEO.
The big
Understand?
boss.
Yeah, he can't run now, like like run and leave the company for you. No, the thing there that is that probably he sees you and see that you're a fine girl, he fancies you, and he feel like, okay, I should have her.
He feels entitled.
He feels
I'm the boss
entitled.
here.
I'm the boss
I
here,
should.
understand? I should, and definitely she should agree. If
Mm.
not, she will leave
They
this,
complain,
as in
or she will lose that job,
she will lose
or
that
lose that
job.
promotion.
So they are just being men. They are being men, and they are being uneducated, because
Yeah.
when you're educated,
Mm.
you should not force a woman into doing anything with you.
Yeah.
It's not. So I think I would say it's to those money misroad men. Misroad
I
men
really like that
that are
money
not
miss road. Yeah,
that are
yeah.
not so
Or
informed.
power miss road.
Yes, power drunk kind of people.
Men. Mm.
Yes, men. So they want to subdue you, and and take whatever thing they want from you forcefully,
Mm-hmm.
which is not good. So I think that's some of the reason why they do that.
Me personally, I look at people like that as people who don't have problem. Maybe you don't have any other thing bothering you in life. Because if you have other things that are really, really keeping you awake at night, this should be the list of your problem.
Of course, but you know that they are polygamous in nature, and they are, I don't want to use the other word. They are just like that. Once a man fancies you and see that you're a pretty girl, you understand? Do except for the ones that are not that can't control themselves.
Even some people, even when you are not that attractive, yes, as a woman, I don't know, they just still want to. You can see
Those are sex
sometimes that,
maniacs.
yeah, thank you.
Sex
It has
maniacs.
to do with their psychology.
Their
Maybe it's not
psychology.
exactly balanced. We are not trying to insult anybody here. We are just trying to examine what could be the
The
reason behind.
reason.
Yes.
And sometimes the women too can also be the reason.
Okay.
That is why in some workplace they tell you, please dress well, you know. Not that, even not that when you're dressed well, that some of these men will not still harass you sexually.
Mm.
Some will, but dress well, so that so that
It will
the
reduce that.
the number of sexual harassment will reduce. A kind of, then another thing is to be prayerful. Like when your boss is sexually harassing you, another sweet way to just bypass it is by taking it to God in prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer does a whole lot. When you talk to God, He will listen. When you genuinely talk to God, say, God, please see this man who he wants to be a stumbling block for me, and this job I need it. When
Yeah.
you beg God, talk to God, God will just, like as Bible said that the heart of kings and queen and are in His hands, and He twisted the way He wants.
Okay.
So if you talk to Him, He's going to twist that your boss's heart, change it, and every other thing becomes good.
I love that point. I love that point. I think another thing is that we should, as organizations, take this matter seriously. But many have argued that sometimes you will see a lady who is a mediocre, the mediocrity is too much. When a man wants to now discipline her, she will now hide under, he's doing it so I can fall for him and all of that. So it's actually difficult to establish such issue in workplaces. But I want to also just seriously encourage organizations to take it seriously and look into it properly. Don't feel like you're wasting your productive time trying to solve private or petty matters, or find, most times the shortcut of finding settling this type of thing is that the organization might just decide to quietly look for another reason to discharge one person,
That's
and
that is
that's unfair. That's unfair because it puts pressure on the people, the victims, to succumb to this kind of act.
Don't be surprised that some of these organizations, they will call you and be like, please do not speak
Don't
about,
don't talk about it. Oh, don't talk about it in
don't
the
talk
public,
about it,
please.
please.
You are denting our image. You are this, you are that.
At the end of
So
the
at
day,
the
the
end of the day,
problem won't
everybody
stop.
is, yeah, it won't stop.
It won't
So that's
stop.
why I'm using this medium to really, urge the offices, organizations, workplaces in general to find a way to, maybe a department to handle this kind of issues
Just like I said, there should be
with
panel.
experts, professionals there to know how to, extract the real information and handle it the way it's supposed to go.
I just pray
Well,
it
let's
goes.
not pretend in this part of the world that is that easy. And
It's not
and the
that
system
easy.
is not exactly working like that. If not, we have other law enforcement agencies to check these things. But we know in this part of the world that the system is not exactly working like that.
Mm-mm.
So what are the other ways people, victims, can use and maneuver this very tricky situation, since we know, I'm not saying our system will fail them all, but our system might fail them.
Okay, like for myself, but people with different faces and with different mindsets. Okay, someone will encounter such problems.
Okay.
So, like I said, some persons find themselves in this kind of situation. Um, they pray to God, and while some find themselves in this kind of situation, they will give in, or rather, they give in.
Mm,
While some they quit the job. But here is the thing: the best solution
mm.
is to speak to God in prayer. Then, after which you have spoken to God, and the whole thing still persists. And you know one thing about this sexual harassment, huh? The boss is not just asking you out, and letting you have your peace of mind.
You can't even
when
have your peace of mind.
when you say no, in that office,
You can't have that peace of mind.
every little thing he's calling you, any mistake is on you, anything. So at the end of the day, you become frustrated. So instead of you giving in, two things are involved. But the first and foremost is you talk to God in prayer, and after which you have spoken to God, and the pressure is still coming, my brother, my sister, quit. You're going to get another, in fact, a
Job,
better
yeah.
job. Trust me, you get a better one. Probably, why God did not stop him is because he has actually prepared a better place for you outside. Because you and I know that whenever you pray, God answers. But if in this situation God did not come through so quick for you, and the pressure is getting tense and tense, quit. There's a better thing for you outside. Trust me.
You've said it all, because God is the ultimate.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, I believe God can use people that he or she respects to caution him, not even caution him, to appeal to his conscience. I've seen situations where married women go with their husbands, maybe to talk to the man, buy gifts, and most times it does work. But what about those who don't have husbands?
That is when,
Then some people go with their maybe very rich uncle or rich auntie to
before
appeal.
before going to appeal, you should consult God first. Because most times you go with these people, yes, at the end of the day, they
Yeah.
might even twist it and say, oh, you brought this person to come and insult me, or you brought them, like, people can be funny. So you talk to God.
Yes.
When you talk to God and you
God
now
is the
go for
ultimate.
appealing, you see that things will now work out
Exactly. Yeah, you've
in your
said it all.
favor.
Even when you want to use somebody to appeal, you talk to God. Because if it's the person God wants to use to touch this man's heart and even make him repent
Yeah,
from that day onwards,
then it will work.
then it will work. I
Yeah.
think we've said it all on today's topic.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what do we say? Let's say goodbye to our viewers. But goodbye does not mean that we will not see next week. Let's call it a date next week. But if you enjoyed this episode, what are they supposed to do? Give us a like,
like
then drop your comment in the comment section.
section.
See you next week. From us here, we say bye bye.